This is Sam Kirby, host of Cinema Stories. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
This is Daniel Poppy, host of How to Write Good here on Public House Media. I just want to thank you for listening to the following broadcast brought to you by Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope that you'll come check out my show, How to Write Good, the writing show that is not about writing. A new show of How to Write Good comes out every Wednesday, so don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of How to Write Good. Again, thanks for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
It's time for the Gregg and Dave Show.
Unjustifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in.
Featuring Greg Wattsnyder.
Give me Twinkies or give me death!
And David Bobke.
I am the Queen, yeah.
Bravely bringing you the stories of the strange.
Going off on a madcap romp.
It'll be an adventure. We're going on an adventure.
Were you high?
Now sit back and enjoy the show.
That is my least favorite thing to do.
Hello and welcome to the Gregg and Dave Show. I am the Gregg.
And I am Dave Show.
He is Dave Show.
I need some fanfare behind that or something.
I like your last name of Show, personally. I think it's a good last name.
Anytime you've got a verb for a last name, you're in good shape.
Yeah. So this is our podcast on thephmedia.com. You can also find us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and wherever good podcasts are available. Right, Dave Show?
That's right, and don't go thinking this is just any old PH Media. This is the PH Media.
This PH Media.
Very definitive article adjective.
Says the English major.
Major English major at attention.
From UW-Milwaukee. Yes.
So we have some interesting stories once again, Greg.
We have a lot of interesting, well, not a lot, but a few interesting stories. Some of them, most of them, two of them involve food.
That is the majority of the stories today, 2 out of the 3. And
right.
Yeah, let's jump right into this one because any listeners that we have in Canada will be very interested to know that yes, our friends to the north, Scottish haggis are coming back to Canada. Now, Greg, were you aware that Scottish haggis were not allowed to be transported to Canada prior to my sending you this story?
No, I wasn't. Let me tell you all I know about Canada, Dave, in a few simple sentences.
Sure.
When I went to Canada, orange juice was very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
There were hot dog vendors on almost every street corner. And when I was in Toronto, there were no mosquitoes.
I see.
That's about all I know of Canada. Oh, and I think our family took a vacation, a scenic trip, of course, to Niagara Falls.
Interesting.
Me not being able to see, I didn't see much. But we saw the cool movie about the people rolling down in barrels in Niagara Falls. But anyway, that has nothing to do with the Scottish import of haggis.
Yes, good old haggis for the first time in nearly half a century, this according to ctvnews.ca. Scotland will be exporting haggis, there we go, to Canada.
There you go.
I've been fighting a bit of a cold, in case anyone's wondering, so this is a perfect story for me, because this is going to clear my throat right out every time I say authentic Scottish haggis.
Yes.
It has been banned from Canada and the U.S. for decades, because one of its key ingredients is sheep's lung, which may pose health risks to consumers. But a new haggis recipe has been developed, thank goodness, might I add, for export to Canada. And the product was showcased Wednesday at an event in Toronto featuring Scottish food and drinks. I can't name any other Scottish food or drink. Greg, can you?
No. Come to think of it, I can't. But Dave, what is haggis? For those of us who are unfamiliar with something I guess you can now get in Canada.
Yeah, well, here's a good little lesson for anybody listening. If you've never known what haggis is, you want to become a little more cosmopolitan, you want to learn the ways of the world. Traditional haggis, a type of savory pudding, contains sheep lung, liver, and heart, along with onion, oatmeal, and various spices, and it is traditionally encased in sheep's stomach and boiled.
Oh, that sounds...
So there you go.
That sounds like something I want to run out and get right away. Dave, when I think of pudding, I think of chocolate. I think of vanilla. I think of butterscotch. It's not often that I think of sheep's lung in my pudding.
I guess I'm starting to wonder if tapioca is somehow a weird offshoot of haggis, because I'm still not sure what that is in tapioca.
I don't know if anyone's sure what's in tapioca pudding.
I don't know either, but I do enjoy some tapioca pudding.
Yes.
The story went on to say here, after waiting 46 years, I'm sure there will be many Canadians and expat Scots looking forward to having Scotland's national dish at the center of their table at the next Burns Supper, somebody said, referring to the annual celebration of Scotland's national poet Robert Burns, which takes place in January.
Oh, yes. Dave, as an English major, you are very familiar probably with the work of Robert Burns, correct? The great poet?
Oh, absolutely. We studied Robert Burns a tremendous amount. I mean, when we studied great authors, I mean, we were looking at, of course, Robert Frost. We were looking at D.H. Lawrence. We were looking at Robert Burns. And I believe Robert Burns' biggest hit here in the States, of course, we would know as Scottish, which is not to be confused with a Flemish book of the same name.
Of course not.
No,
never confuse it again, Dave. Yeah,
very different.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So will haggis come to the U.S. anytime soon, Dave? Do you think?
You know, I'm not seeing anything in the story about it coming to the U.S. anytime real soon, and I find that interesting because number one, we do have a fascination with, I want to say, somewhat authentic food. And, there are people who genuinely would enjoy, I think, Scottish haggis. They want the actual item. But on the other hand, we have enough, vegetarianism and veganism that maybe that would quash the haggis desire in the States. I don't know.
Right.
And there's a fear, too, I think, that McDonald's would take something like haggis and do something awful to it.
Yeah, no doubt. What's the most authentic food you've ever had, Dave?
The most authentic food I've ever had is probably this Mountain Dew I'm drinking right now.
Yeah. I'm thinking the most authentic food I've ever had was a cookie. No, just take that back. I did have Ethiopian food once in Minnesota. Yeah.
I could go for some Thai food though. Thai food's good stuff.
Thai food is good stuff. Little bit of peanut, little bit of spice.
Yeah, get you some meat crab up in this mug.
Little bit of peanut spice. Yep.
Good eating.
Good eating.
So we'll say it right now, the Gregg and Dave Show approves of Thai food.
Well, Dave, hopefully listeners won't have to wait for longer than a train to hear this next story about trains.
You and your segues, Greg. My word. That course really paid off, didn't it?
It did.
All right. This next story comes from The Guardian. Again, we're getting all this stuff from, the UK. I don't know how that works, but I guess we do like our UK sources. And the title of this particular item, Trainee McSpamface, Swedish Railway keeps Bodie's legacy alive. Winner of the public vote to name new engine on Stockholm-Gothenburg line echoes UK poll choice for polar research ship. Do you remember the whole Bodie McBoatface thing, Greg? That whole controversy some time ago?
I was looking at this story, and I was like, no, I don't remember Bodie McBoatface, but that was a thing.
Indeed it was. And go ahead and just jump into the article here. A public vote to name 4 trains running between the Swedish cities of Stockholm and Gothenburg has resulted in one of the 4 being called, no, this is not being called Flight 666, to hell, like we talked about last week, or the week before that. I forget which one. I think it was 2 weeks ago. But we're talking instead about Trainee McSpamface, in an echo of the name chosen by the British public for the new polar research vessel. Trainee McSpamface received 49% of the votes in a poll jointly run by Swedish rail company MTR Express and Swedish newspaper Metro.
Which just shows that British people have a good sense of humor.
Indeed. I think everybody in the UK has a pretty good sense of humor. Everybody really in that area. I mean, they got a heavy dose of Monty Python early on. So
I think you're bloody right, Dave.
I am bloody right. There was what else? Spike Milligan, even I think before that, and there's a lot of good stuff over there. I'm getting the wrong name here. Trainee McTrainface placed well ahead of the other three options: Hawken, Miriam, and Poseidon.
As they should.
I love that they would name a train Miriam.
Yes,
yeah.
Miriam.
Miriam, I feel like should have be a train with a moo and like one of those big floppy hats.
Yeah.
So yes, not to pigeonhole everybody named Miriam, but
Right. We've now just offended all the Miriams in our listening audience.
We owe you a beverage of your choice. Miriam's listening in.
Yes.
It goes on to say the other trains have already been named by the public. One is named Estelle, after the 5-year-old daughter of Sweden's Princess Victoria, the next in line to the Swedish throne.
Okay.
So that's kind of nice. All right.
Yeah.
Another is named Glenn, with 2 N's, after a long-running joke that everyone in Gothenburg is called Glenn. This was something I was not aware of. But now this is a stereotype that we can all use and all have fun with.
Right.
And I am thankful for that.
Right.
All right. The joke has... Yes, go ahead.
This reminds me, this public survey or whatever they did, reminds me of a previous public survey that was done here in Waukesha, Wisconsin, where I live, where there was a 3rd high school being built. This was, I would say, mid to late 90s. And they were wondering what should be the name of this 3rd high school in Waukesha. And people, they put it in the local papers, and they said, people were saying all sorts of things. My favorite was, it should be called Homer Simpson High School, because that was back in the Simpsons' dawn of rising popularity, although one could argue that the Simpsons have always been popular. But anyway, Homer Simpson High School. I thought that was a strong candidate. But no, what did they name it? West High School. Why even have a survey if you're just going to name it West? Another cardinal direction.
I guess you want you're hoping that the people of the area will pick something very smart or intelligent. Like, at least if you're going to go with a Simpsons character, maybe you could go with Professor Frink.
Okay.
But maybe somebody like that. But if you go with Homer, I mean, he's not, shall we say, the brightest bulb in the bunch.
Maybe I should have submitted a vote back in the day for School McHighschoolface.
Yes, that would have gone over really well. As soon as we get the flux capacitor on the Gregg and Dave time machine up and running again, we're going to make that happen.
We have to talk to our friend the Time Traveler.
Absolutely.
Who we talked about in the previous show.
Oh, that poor guy. Ending up in Wyoming. I don't wish that on anybody. So, anyway, going back to the story here, the joke of everybody in Gothenburg being named Glenn, apparently the joke has a basis in fact. Fun little tidbit here. The name is particularly common in the city and its surrounding area, with its popularity stemming from the 80s, when local football team IFK Gothenburg had 4 players all called Glenn in its lineup, and 43% of voters supported the name Glenn.
That's like when I have 5 players named Smith on my fantasy team, which has never happened, by the way, but could happen. Or I think one time I had 2 or 3 players with the last name of Johnson. I was like, Dave, put Johnson in for me. Which one? Okay. So that would be hard for the purposes of Scottish fantasy football, if there is such a thing.
Well, just to wrap this story up, MTR Express said the Boatface decision had led to disappointment worldwide because, of course, Bodie McBoatface won the competition it was in however long ago that was, a few years now, I guess. And then they just decided not to use it because they're jerks. It was hoped that the name Trainee McTrainface would, quote, be received with joy by many, not only in Sweden. And I think we all applaud Sweden for sticking with the actual winner, Trainee McTrainface. Mrs. Bale, can we get an applause from the studio audience? There we go. Okay. By the way, we do have a studio audience here at the Gregg and Dave Show.
We do.
We do. We put them behind a wall and ask them to be quiet.
They're all holding protest signs for some reason.
Oh, is that what those are?
Yeah.
Well, they're in different languages.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's nice. Okay, well,
know.
you know what? That hand signal is universal, buddy.
Hey, Dave, before we leave the trains in Sweden, can you say ships in Sweden 3 times fast? I dare you to. Ships in Sweden.
Ships in Sweden. Ships in Sweden 3 times fast.
There you go.
Thank you. Pulled it off. Another Gregg and Dave Show challenge executed to perfection.
Yes.
All right.
We'll be back with more of the Gregg and Dave Show right after this.
That's what you think.
Mistakes have been made today, but this is not one of them.
Yeah, I'm in the wrong here. I suck.
You're listening to the Gregg and Dave Show.
Hey, Dave, I have a question for you.
Hey, Greg, I have an answer for you.
What do people with the name of Baxter, Keith, Kim, Nikki, Greg, and Dave have in common?
Let's see. All of those people breathe oxygen.
This is true. And they all have shows on thephmedia.com. Also look up Public House Media on Facebook and Twitter, and you'll find live shows, you'll find not live shows, you'll find all sorts of great content on that Facebook page. That's Public House Media on Facebook.
And now, the dramatic conclusion of the Gregg and Dave Show.
Everybody bang! Yeah!
Oh, we're back.
We're back.
Hey.
We're back. We were just talking about spam, like everyone else, because everybody loves spam, Dave.
Oh, of course.
Especially people in Hawaii, apparently.
Yeah.
Which is where our next story takes us.
Yeah, and it's not that we don't value the important commercials that we run on this show, but we got distracted looking ahead at the next story, and, well, spam does have a powerful effect on people.
Right.
Is where this story comes from. Spam heists in Hawaii prompt retailers to put the wildly popular mystery meat in locked cases. So spam being treated like cigarettes, at least in terms of theft.
Spam is locked up where it should be.
Are you not a fan of spam, Greg? Is that what you're saying?
I am not a fan, and I don't know if I've ever tried it, honestly. Much like haggis.
Interesting. I can tell you, as a bit of a spam connoisseur, that I'm not, but my dad kind of was. But he'll probably tell you spam is well and good, but treat is where it's at. So if you can find a spam knockoff called Treat, I think it's Treet.
We should get them to sponsor our show.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Then I might eat spam.
I might have to go down to the corner store and get some Treat just to try that out.
Right.
Maybe I'll do that next week.
So anyway, what's up with spam in Hawaii? It's a pretty hot commodity, huh?
Oh, it's hot, all right. Being stolen like crazy. Last month in the Pearl City community on Oahu, Safeway customer Arlene Sua watched as a man suddenly grabbed 8 cases of spam and headed for the door. She thought, okay, this isn't real. No, he's not going to take it. No, she told KHON-TV. But it was real. The man took off with the spam and disappeared. Elsewhere on the island, at about the same time, 3 women loaded up shopping carts at a Long's drugstore with 18 cases of, you guessed it, spam.
Spam.
They made a rush for the exit. Fortunately, an alert customer, Kurt Favela, saw the attempted heist in progress, stationed himself at the door on spam patrol, that's actually what it says here, and stopped them in their tracks. They shoved their carts toward him and took off. Favela told KITV4. Stationed himself at the door on spam patrol might be the phrase of the year for our show.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Spam patrol.
So do you think this is a fair thing to do if spam is being stolen at this rate, Greg? Do you think it's fair to lock it up and put it behind glass?
Well,
and make it something you have to find an employee with a key to unlock for you.
I told you that spam should always be locked up. I'm stereotyping it here as not good tasting. So it should be always locked up behind a case and never to be seen again. That's my hot take of the day. Write it down, put it on the record.
If we do have any listeners yet in Honolulu, the police department there is now offering a $1,000 reward for a man and an apparent accomplice who entered a store on October 3rd, grabbed a case of Spam, and punched a security guard who attempted to stop them. Police reported the thief fled in an unknown direction. Which leads me to think that he's a time traveler, because that every direction is known. We just don't know which one they took.
Now, why are people buying up all this Spam? Do people just like to eat it, Dave, or...
Well, I think they maybe go on to explain it a little bit here. It says, Spam snatchers are not hungry people desperate for Spam. They are most likely part of a Spam black market that's taking off in a state where the demand for Spam knows no bounds. That, again, might be a phrase.
Yes, Spam black market.
Spam black market taking off in a state where the demand for Spam knows no bounds. That's fantastic. It's a staple, Tina Yamaki, president of the Retail Merchants of Hawaii, said. Very interesting, and it goes on again to say Spam being kept in plastic cases under lock and key with more expensive shoplifting targets such as electronics, Gillette Power Fusion razor refills, and as it happens, canned corned beef, also popular in Hawaii.
Wow. Now, canned corned beef. I do like myself a bit of corned beef hash every once in a while.
Oh, sure. That's good stuff.
Yes, that is good stuff. But Spam, I don't think I'm doing that anytime soon.
You said you're not sure you've ever had Spam, correct?
Right.
Okay, and maybe this is the thing, because, we have stuff like Vegemite, I think, brought up to the States, and people try it and they think it's disgusting. But then they find out that it's supposed to be used more like a ketchup or something, where you're supposed to spread it on toast or something like that. And it says here in Hawaii, nobody eats it plain out of the can. They eat Spam fried rice or Spam and eggs, or a Korean Spam stew called, I have no idea how to pronounce this, Budai Jjigae, Budae space Jjigae. And also a sushi-like snack of cooked rice, Spam, and often teriyaki sauce wrapped up in seaweed. Now, if it's got teriyaki sauce, I'm interested.
Yeah. So maybe we're doing Hawaiian pizza in the States here all wrong. Maybe instead of ham and pineapple, they have Spam and pineapple pizza.
If you took the pineapple off of that, I'd be interested.
See, I'm a big pineapple fan, especially on my pizza.
Oh, geez, here we go. All right. Here's where the rift begins. All right, I'm limbering up.
Yeah.
Pineapple on pizza. I'm gonna go on record. My friend James is 100% with me on this. James Corsmo of the podcast Titletown Sound and I, hardcore against pineapple on pizza. We just believe it doesn't belong on pizza. It's like something, and I love pineapple, but something sweet and sort of something with juice like pineapple, I feel like doesn't belong on a pizza.
Yeah, I could say your mom doesn't belong on pizza, Dave, but that's stooping to levels that I'm not sure we want to stoop to on this podcast of the Gregg and Dave Show.
Yeah, no, we'll do that off the air.
By the way, make sure to catch all the great podcasts and shows on thephmedia.com, as well as the Facebook page, Public House Media, which offers several live shows per week. Like what shows, Dave?
Bunches of shows. Like, I didn't pull the list of shows up, and I'm not thinking clearly, so I forgot what they were. They've got shows like Cinema Stories is a new one.
Right.
With Sam Kirby. I'm looking forward to checking that one out. Fantasy Wizards with Scott Wisniewski and RJ Gardner. I don't know RJ at all, but I've known Scott for a little while. Been familiar with his work for even longer. So
Scott is actually the commissioner of the fantasy football league that I'm in. So
No kidding.
I listen to his advice, and then I make sure I make the appropriate roster moves before he does. So love you, Scott.
Yeah, Scott, good guy. For anybody familiar with the What's the Score, the Sports News Quiz podcast, of course, Scott was on there several times.
Yep.
Yeah, what else is there? Completely Serious with Ryan Pearce. Another good one.
Yeah, definitely. So check out all the things on Public House Media or thephmedia.com. And again, we're at Public House Media on Facebook. And last week we were on the front page, Dave.
We might actually be on there as of the time we're recording this. We're pretty readily accessible on the Facebook page.
Right.
With our lovely little logo, which I actually did a poll because we had several logo options, and everybody that I asked was picking the particular logo that we ended up going with. So, popular opinion won. It was like Trainee McSpamface.
It was unlike Homer Simpson High School.
Exactly.
And the jury's still out about pineapple on pizza. But anyway, we want to thank you. I'm going to go eat some pizza for lunch, and I'm really hoping that it has pineapple on it.
See, I will say this, though. We've had what's called pig roast pizza a few times.
Yes.
And I do like that. But I don't consider that pizza. For me, I think pizza's got to have, basically, you got to have bread, right, the crust. You got to have your base.
Right.
And tomato sauce and cheese. And I think the pig roast pizza that we've had, quote-unquote pizza, had, I think, one of those three items.
Gotta love any kind of deep dish pizza.
Yeah, well, pretty much pizza in general, I feel like.
Pizza in general. Yep.
That's good stuff.
Yep. So, Dave.
Mr. Gregg.
I am the Gregg.
And I am Dave Show.
And we'd like to thank you for listening to the Gregg and Dave Show. Dave, say haggis one more time.
Haggis!
You've been listening to The Gregg and Dave Show. The Gregg and Dave Show theme is Take a Chance by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com.